Because where do you go?
Well, yeah, I remember afterwards, a pal of mine who's a manager, he was, I think, managing some band at the time, he kind of said, kind of flippantly, so what are you going to do now?
Yeah.
Where'd you go now? And it didn't in a kind of, you know, after gig euphoria, it's like, oh, we're going to fucking do it next year, we're doing 9 nights next year. But then kind of thinking, well, what are we going to do now? You know what I mean? You can't. We've played everywhere. We've achieved everything that we've ever set out to do, which was to become the biggest band in the world, you know, and at that point we were. But you've got, I've always said, you know, you've got to be cool to be cool, you know what I mean? And we were just, it was too euphoric a time to be going, right guys, we need to sit down and fucking rethink here, man, where we're going. It's just like, no. And the money had just started coming in from Morning Glory. It's like, I owe it to the history books. We've got to go bananas here. This has got to go more mental.
Dude, you did that. How many nights?
We done 2, but we could have played 7. You know, and it was we didn't want to overplay it.
Oh, now you don't want to overplay it. But
the great thing about, because we've been doing a lot of looking back over the last couple of months.
Yeah.
The great thing about that gig was every band who was on the support bill, apart from the Bootleg Beatles and Dread Zone,
went on to have a place.
Went on to have like gold records.
You're right. Charlatans,
Prodigy. And the tickets were 15 quid.
Fucking hell, were they only 15
quid or something like that? I think it was with booking fee, $17.50.
What's it cost?
And I remember at the time going, $17.50? I don't know if I'd pay
What's
that.
it cost now to see an arena show for Oasis?
32.5 quid.
That's still pretty reasonable given what most people are charging at the moment.
If you go and see the big corporate bands that who support,
like 150 quid.
Yeah, that's how they make their...
it's ridiculous.
That's how they make their money, isn't it?
So, man, you emerged from Definitely Maybe, and you've got everything that you could ever dream for in terms of the success and the audience, and you're getting luxuries. And like you say, most importantly as a band, the money's coming in, because you don't see that for a long time, and then all of a sudden you can buy a house, you can actually, you know, whatever. But things were starting to unravel a little bit in the lead up to the next record, to Be Here Now, right?
We went to the States, and we should... And I say this only in hindsight, and this is where you've got to be cool to be cool. We should have walked off stage in Nebworth and announced that we were going to, you know, go away and reinvent ourselves and blah, 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 and disappeared for 2 or 3 years, you know, done a bit of living. But Morning Glory, the album, was in the top 5 in America, and Wonderwall, the only ever single we've had out in America, was, I think it was in the top 3 or something. So we owed it to ourselves to get out there and fucking do it.
Yeah.
So we booked this huge kind of shed tour, and they're like, you know, 30,000 a night, and it was all sold out. And it was just that one tour too far where I guess we got there, and we would always put up with the squabbling and infighting on tour buses and all that, because we were never kind of an hour away from home anyway, you know what I mean? But it just kind of spilled over one night, and this is true. This is fucking true. The whole thing collapsed over a really shit leather jacket that Bonehead was wearing when Liam said to him on the back of the tour, well, everyone's on drugs, right? Where'd you get that jacket from? And he went, what's it got to do with you? And he went, I'm only asking you. And somebody piped up, it's fucking shit anyway. And it all escalated from there. And I remember being kind of, as they tumble off the tour bus in the hotel car park, thinking, I'm not having this.
This is it.
You know, let's fight over whether we go jazz or space reggae next time. But let's not fight over not even a good leather jacket.
Right, exactly.
You know, let's fight over a cape. You know what I mean? Or whether we do a concept album of fucking goblins with laser beams. But let's not fight over a shit brown leather jacket with a fur collar.
And the amount of time and the amount of money that went down the toilet, momentum that went down the toilet over a shit leather jacket.
Well, you know,
was it meant to be that way though? Did it have to come to an end that way?
Yeah, it's all part of the story, isn't it?
It has to, you know.
And I remember coming back. I take responsibility for that, because I should have just gone to bed and said, fuck it, don't matter. We only have 4 gigs left to do, right? And I guess I was trying to make a point to everybody in the band by saying, this is, you know, we're going to fuck it up here for ourselves.
This is not important, yeah.
In hindsight, it was me that kind of went, no, I shall take my ball, and I shall leave, and I shall go back to England, you know. Yeah. And in hindsight, that was the wrong move. And it just caused an absolute frenzy.
Only 4 gigs as well. Bands cancel and postpone gigs all the time. Halfway through tours, you got 4 gigs to go, and it made out like you guys had literally left America begging on the doorstep.
Yeah. But there was nothing else around at the time, and I'm glad that we were in that whirlwind, because, you know, if, let's say the next bright young things go over to America and cancel 4 gigs, nobody will give a flying fuck, you know. But unlucky, or whichever way you want to look at it, you know, it was on the front page of the Sun.
Dude, that photo of you walking through with a Union Jack guitar is an iconographic image.
Yeah, man.
Whether you meant it to be or not. And the fact that you're carrying your guitar out of case. Yeah. I don't know whether you meant it that way, but I mean, you know, the symbologists will sit down and say that what you were stating to the press was, I am just a fucking musician with a guitar in my hand, so back the fuck off.
Yeah, it got out of hand, but in a good way.
Yeah.
And even after that, we shouldn't have gone. Then we had like a week off and went straight into the studio to
How
record.
did you regroup and go into the studio after something like that? I mean, what's the story? You just have just a couple of pints and it's done.
Yeah, it was kind of like a meeting round at somebody's house, and like, well, you were out of order. Well, you were out of order. You said this, and I said that.
Let's make a record, right?
And then I think the speculation was that we were going to split. To end that, somebody had the bright idea of going into the studio and having a show of unity. And of course, we went in, and it just went.
Is it that bad a record? Be Here Now?
No, it's an absolute expression of its time.
I can find a lot of merit in that album, and I like that.
It hasn't got the legs of Definitely Maybe, right? And it hasn't got, you know, the glory of Morning Glory. But when you were there, when that record came out, you fucking knew about it, man. And for that 6-month period, whatever it was, right, it sold 9 million copies. I would give my child, right, I would give my child to fucking Satan if my next record sells 9 million copies.
That is not true, by the way. That is not true. No,
if you're watching, Satan. 9 million, and they were going on it. The Oasis bandwagon stalls at 9 million.
It comes to an end, ladies and gentlemen.
Hell, as I'm bouncing 2 chimps on my knee like that.
Dude, the record industry right now would literally kidnap your child and sell it to Satan if anyone could sell 9 million records in a year.
Yeah,
when did you get off drugs? When did you decide to quit drugs?
It was 1998. It was half-time between Germany and Italy in the World Cup in France.
Right.
And I'd got up from an heavy night the night before with a friend of mine who is of Italian descent, and I had a big fat line and a can of Red Stripe for breakfast, and then just went, this is not fucking good, man.
And that was
this is not good.
Moment of clarity.
And I kind of broke into the sweats and went, and I'm a bit of a stubborn fucker anyway, and it's like, right, from this day forth I shall not dabble in the white lady anymore.
Yeah.
And that was it, and I've never done it since.
Yeah.
And the great thing about getting off drugs is you get rid of all the people who are on drugs, because all the people who are, and the best thing is after about 6 weeks of being off drugs, you're still surrounded with the same group of people. And I was out one night and I was just thinking, I don't like you.
I have nothing in common with any of you.
I don't like you.
Yeah.
I don't mind you, but your bird's a dick. You're an idiot. You wear eyeliner. That kind of thing. And it was kind of, one by one, it's like, well, you've got to go. She's got to go.
Yeah.
You've got to go. You're definitely. What are you still doing here anyway? That kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
And what did that leave you with, man? What did that leave you with?
That left me with me and my guitar.
And that's it?
Yeah, and the band.
Yeah.
And that was it, eventually. But I don't, it was just...